In this video, I want to talk to you about something very interesting, and it's called the MQTT protocol. And it's only when people started realizing that the internet has evolved a lot. And the devices that are being connected to the internet are not just desktops, laptops, or mobile phones. They're actually IoT devices or Internet of Things devices, which are just tiny sensors, and they perform some task and they send out that information over the internet. And there could be some devices like a mobile phone that's actually listening to that information. So think of your home automation devices, where with your phone you can switch on your AC, you can change the temperature in your thermostat, you can switch on the air purifying device, or you can open up a garage door. All of that's happening because there are tiny IoT devices which are connected to the internet, and your phones are also connected to the same internet. So home automation was just one use case. There are like hundreds of use cases. Right now in factories or water plants or electrical grids, there are hundreds of devices which help you monitor each part of the machinery. Similarly, there are IoT devices which help with automatic irrigation and so on. So imagine this device wants to send that this soil has low moisture level, and the subscriber, which is a mobile phone user, the farmer, he can take a decision whether to switch on the irrigation or not. So the irrigation can be switched on automatically or can be switched on by the farmer. So this switches on a water sprinkler and the soil moisture level can go up. And all of this automation is done with the help of IoT devices and something called as the MQTT protocol. Now, the MQTT protocol enables all these devices to connect to the internet and to interact with the internet. But then why couldn't you just use all of the protocols that we've learned about up until now? Why do you need a special protocol for these IoT devices? That's the question. It's because the devices that are now being connected to the internet have low bandwidth, they are low power devices, and they are on high latency or unreliable networks. They're probably in a farm somewhere or in a factory somewhere in a remote location. So MQTT protocol has a very different approach from our current existing protocols. So MQTT protocol has a very different approach from all the other protocols. This actually turns communication on its head. It actually adopts the publisher-subscriber model. This pub-sub model, we'll talk about it a lot more in the upcoming videos, but for now you need to know that in a pub-sub model, there is a publisher, a device that publishes to the internet, and a subscriber device, which receives those messages and takes some action based on that. So what are the features that makes MQTT protocol a great fit for IoT devices? Just want to take a quick break to tell you something important. If you have some years of experience in the industry, you know that just knowing system design concepts is not enough. You need to know how to break down complex problems and apply all of the concepts that you know. Now, there are many system design courses on the internet, but they break down simple problems like e-commerce platforms, social media platforms. But what about someone breaking down OpenAI or Hugging Face or Cursor, the kind of platforms that will be built in 2025 and beyond? And this is why I've built the perfect 3-month advanced system design bootcamp, where you break down distributed systems problems, decentralized platforms problems, and AI infrastructure problems. This cohort is for more advanced people who have a few years in the industry, they know quite a lot of system design, and are now looking to upskill. If you think you're a good fit, there's a form in the comments and in the description of this video. Fill it up. We'll check if you're a good fit, and we'll set up some time with you. Now let's get back to the video. The thing is, it's a very small protocol overhead. It's just 2 bytes. So that's why when you talk about these devices, which are low power devices, it makes sense. They don't have a lot of processing power. It's perfect for constrained devices like sensors and embedded systems. Publishers and subscribers don't know about each other. And that's great, because maybe the subscriber that's subscribed to this data doesn't need to know where this information is coming from. And that's completely all right. MQTT also offers many-to-many message routing handled by the broker. The broker can store the last known good message for late subscribers, and devices can reconnect and resume. So that's a very, very important step. Not just the 6th actually, but also the 5th part is also very important. So there is a broker that brokers the messages between the publisher and subscriber, and it's able to store the last known message for late subscription. If the subscriber is coming in late, or it was delayed due to some reason, it can resubscribe, re-listen to the messages from the broker. If this device gets disconnected or any of the devices get disconnected, they can always reconnect and resume where they left off. If any of the clients disconnects unexpectedly, the broker will send a last will message to all the other clients, which is useful for awareness that, hey, this one client is not available. Now, I know that MQTT relies on the understanding of publisher and subscriber, and we have not learned about pub-sub models as of now. This is going to come much later on in this series. But for now, even if you understand that, hey, there are some devices that are much smaller, they have very low processing power, they're low powered devices, and they're also connected to sketchy internet connections or sketchy networks, then for them to be able to communicate to the rest of the internet, you need the MQTT protocol, which has been built in a very different way. It prioritizes publishing and subscription of the messages and also provides brokers that help broker the messages between the publishers and subscribers. Now, this kind of brings a logical end to all of our protocol related discussion. And the next video is about API polling. That's an interesting concept. So I'll see you in the next video.